Welcome to Heartspeak Podcast, Cosmic Consciousness Upgrade. Well, hello there, wherever you are in the world. It's good to be back with you. And yes, these are very challenging, exciting, creative, innovative times. And they're not going to slow down. So buckle your belts because we are really just entering into a very active time consciously, creatively, and transformatively over these next few months. We are in some ways preparing the way for what's coming January, February of next year that isn't going to be, oh, now we're there. It's really going to be, get on this rocket ship because we are moving. But between now and then, there's a lot of reorganization to take place. And part of that reorganization isn't just sitting and reflecting. It is being generated and emphasized by a massive information that's coming through from the cosmos, through our galaxy, through our sun, and into this earth plane, and obviously into us. And it's being exacerbated by the fact that the sun at the moment, which is actually a portal, a doorway for information, is at its solar maximum, and it is covered by coronal holes, or we could say lakes of energy, and there are streams of energy connecting all these lakes. So it's almost like it's a very active, boiling, watery substance, and that's very similar to what we're experiencing here on Earth. Many of you might be sitting in heat waves or experiencing a lot of water, floods, etc. So this idea of water and fire flowing very dramatically without any obstructions to its flow is being seen within our Earth, within our weather, and maybe even being seen within your own energy field. So as this information is being brought in on these waves, these solar winds, we are receiving that information into our mindset and our nervous system, into our bloodstream, into every part of our cell. So all this new information is really wakening us up to who we are. But it's also at the same time blowing wind into areas of our body that are stagnant or where there's blockages. And so you may be feeling so much that is getting stirred up emotionally, or you may be feeling your heart rate is irregular, or you may be feeling your breathing is out of balance, or your mind may just be overactive or anxious, or even your dream states may be very active. Old ideas, old thoughts coming into your dreams, maybe even meeting people who have passed over in your dream state. It's as if everything is coming to the surface. And it's coming to the surface so that we can create closure with it. It's not like, whoa, now I'm going to do more of that. Between July and next February, we really are in this place of things coming up that have been held in a closet, in a cave, and everything is being pushed to the surface by this new information that's coming in and saying, okay, how do you want to deal with this? What do you want to do with this? So if you're feeling very emotional, don't just try and calm yourself down. Say, what is needing to be looked at, sorted out, dealt with? And that emotion may be irritation, it may be tears, it may be anything, but it's not about, oh, I now need to meditate myself back into a calm place so I don't face this. Now, I'm not saying that isn't helpful, but once you're in that calm place, say, okay, I need to look at what is coming up in my life that I need to face. All right. Now, because there's so much information coming in, you remember when you're upgrading your computer or you're putting a new update onto your computer, and it usually says, please close down all the other apps so that you can do this. That's what I suggest you do. Close down all the other apps. This is not a time for turning on all your devices and saying, what information can I receive from this terrestrial realm? This is the time for switching off your devices so that you can really listen within, but also your upgrade won't get confused by, if I may say, more dense information that you're trying to input. So be clear, calm, find ways of rooting yourself. And at the end of this podcast, I'm going to offer a rooting exercise, but also using your breath, in breath, long out breath, just quietening the mind down, holding the breath out on the out breath. So the mind quietens, the heart quietens. You might feel that this is a time to be creative, just but be careful that the creation isn't based on something of the past. That might sound strange, but this isn't a reaction. This is really a sense of, if something comes through you and say, I'm going to do this, check in with what is the energy or the intention behind that. If it's something that's very old, don't do it. Let it go. Because the new ideas that are coming in are extremely unusual, unknown, unique. So whether you're a writer or a painter or whatever you do creatively, and even signing up for a course, you might say, I want to go and learn something. Are you learning something from the past? Is it new information, or is it just really reinforcing what you know? And at the same time, be mindful of, am I doing this because I don't think I'm good enough? Or are you doing it because you're inspired, because you know you are absolutely perfect as you are? So this brings me to the astrology that's really very accurate at this time for what's going on. So I'm going to just start with Uranus. Uranus, the planet, changes its sign every 7 years. And on the 7th, 8th of July, it is moving from an earth sign, Taurus, into an air sign, Gemini. So we have now 7 years from this time of new ideas. Uranus, unexpected, rebellious, exciting, eccentric ideas. So things that are new and unexpected are likely to arise during this time, especially as Uranus just starts into the beginning of Gemini. Now it will go back into Taurus for some time later on in the year, but then go back into Gemini again. And so we have this sort of dance between Taurus, nature, the body, health, food, and between air, which is thoughts. So there's going to be a lot of information which is already coming out about what are we putting into our bodies. Information, Gemini, Taurus, body, nature. What are we putting into the earth? What are we eating? What's going into our skies? So watch out for all this information coming out. There's also going to be a lot of information about finance, because Taurus is very much about money, as we've learned. Houses, homes, security, money security, savings. How much do we want to spend on something? Where are we putting our money? All of this information is going to be really uppermost over these next few months. And then as really Gemini gets going, we're going to see much more about AI. What information are we taking into our minds? I saw a recent study that said if you only take information in, such as from ChatGPT, and you never process that information or learn from it, then your brain becomes inactive or relatively inactive. So how do we stimulate the brain to be creative? Because that's its job. So it's not just receiving information. How do we inspire ourselves in a creative way to create something even more exciting through the use of computers or AI, but not become sluggish in our minds because of this? There's going to be more about AR or virtual reality, these ideas of what I think is what I create. All of this is going to be very exciting. It's going to change our way of looking at consciousness. And holograms, which I have a great fascination in. Everything around is a holographic representation of what my brain is thinking. If you don't like what you're seeing, change your angle of perception. Change the way you're looking at life. Just move and you'll see the world in a different way. But that's going to be coming more into the fore, and I'll talk about that more over the next few months. But this movement of Uranus on the 7th, 8th of July is coupling with Neptune, which is now in Aries, but will be going back into Pisces. Neptune is watery, it's a watery planet. It's in a fire sign. And on the 4th of July, it turns retrograde. In other words, it goes stationary. And from our perception, it appears to go back on itself. And it will actually go back into Pisces in September, October, and then come forward again at the end of the year, and eventually get back into Aries in January, February of next year. But what I want to really focus on is this stationary Neptune on the 4th of July. As you can imagine, a big planet, but a watery planet, turning fire, moving fire, and going backwards. So it's almost like creating a volcanic eruption or some turmoil in the water. And there are predictions that some have made about some great turmoil that is going to happen in the area around Japan and Philippines on the 5th of July. And I perceive that this is very much in relationship to this stationary Neptune in a fire sign, and Uranus, which is about unexpected activity happening on the 7th and 8th of July. So that period of time, I'd even say from now onwards, is a very volatile time. Neptune meets Saturn, which is a more restrictive energy, on the 14th and 15th of July. Again, I'm only saying this is a long period of time, maybe even the whole of July is going to be volatile. Fire, water, air, earth, all the elements coming together to create something that can feel like you're in a pressure cooker, but is also stirring us up to let go of the old ways that we may have done things, bringing things up from the depths of the sea, the depths of the ocean, the depths of our consciousness. So if you're feeling stirred up, as I say, don't run away from that. Just say, okay, things are coming to the surface. I mustn't allow myself to just get caught up in the fire or the water, tears or anger. I need to find a way of moving this energy. And that's why I'm offering that little exercise at the end of this podcast. So this period of time, as I say, somewhere between, I'd even say from now, as I say, until the end of July, be aware of how do we settle our energies and what is going on. Added to this is I'm very aware that every time Uranus moves sign, which it does every 7 years, as I say, it actually does cause some unexpected activity. And I go back to 2004, 2004, when Uranus moved into Pisces. And almost at the same time that it moved into Pisces, there was this giant tsunami, an underground earthquake, an underwater earthquake that caused the tsunami over in the Thailand and that area, the deep seas in the eastern side of our world. And that I thought was, yes, Uranus, sudden activity in water, that was that. And then in 2011, it moved into a fire sign. And when it moved into that fire sign of Aries, Uranus, now I'm talking about Uranus in Aries, we had the huge, again, earthquake, volcanic energy being released up in the Fukushima area of Japan. And although, again, very unfortunately, so many people died of the flooding, the biggest issue was the release of that fire energy from the Fukushima nuclear power station. In 2018, Uranus moved into Taurus, an earth sign. And here we didn't maybe see anything dramatic at that time, but of course we saw the virus release in 2019. And I believe that that really was related to this Uranus stirring us up about what's going on in our bodies. People were never so attentive of in living in their bodies, what was happening to their bodies, their immune system, their bloodstream, etc. Everything over these last 7 years has really woken us up to, you know, taking care of the body, taking care of the earth, etc. And now we have Uranus going into an air sign, which is Gemini. So I'm sensing that something dramatic may happen around that 7th and 8th, but it may be concurrent with what is happening as Neptune goes retrograde on the 4th and 5th of July. If it is on it, if nothing happens to the Neptune energies, then on the 7th and 8th, we may well see something happening to our telecommunications, the skies. And again, we're so vulnerable to the satellites, to what's going on in the air. I could see something happening around those times where we lose that sensitivity, that ability to communicate through the air. Now, I don't want you to get worried about those things, but we need to be mindful of quietening our own air. That's why I'm saying using your breath work to actually still the mind so it's not full of jagged energy. And the good thing I want to say about the Uranus Gemini, it's going to mean that our communications are going to be taken to a higher level. And those types of communications are going to be telepathic. So we're going to see far more interest in intuitive telepathic communications and the ability to communicate with the spirit world and with the nature kingdoms and with ourselves. And this is very exciting. But all of it involves clearing the mind, and as well as clearing anything that keeps us separate from this collective consciousness, this cosmic consciousness. And I'll just finish by saying, all I know is telepathy works best when we don't have fear and we don't have secrets and we don't have shame. Because all those things, fear, secrets, and shame, all keep us isolated from the collective. So what's coming up now is helping us to look at, where am I keeping myself separate? How do I reconnect, not just to the cosmic world, but to the world I'm living around? How do I root myself into the earth? How do I connect with people in a more higher frequency connections? How do I make community? How can I find things that relate to common unity? That's all of the Uranus energy. So I've spoken about Neptune turning retrograde, and it's going to continue to do that. Neptune is in Aries until 2038, so we have a long time of this Neptunian energy, this watery energy in fire, which in the past has brought tremendous spiritual evolution, spiritual ideas forward. Fortunately, as I've said before, Saturn is there with it. So Saturn is going to stop us getting lost in idealism, romanticism, addicted to these ideas. Saturn is going to say, check in. Does this feel real to you? Is this okay? And Saturn is going retrograde, again, about the middle of July. So we're going to feel this pressure of, what do I believe? What story do I want to follow? What is the truth to this idea? So again, these are ideas I've spoken about before, but it's a very important time to clear our minds. And I would say, listen less to people's opinions and listen more to your own heart. What feels right? And make movements, choices that are right for your soul, that feed your soul. Now, I've talked about Neptune, talked about Saturn, I've talked about Uranus. Pluto is in Aquarius, and it's Pluto in Aquarius that's causing us to want to create greater communities. Again, not just locally, but with our spirit world, with our star people, with the cosmos. So Pluto is expanding our consciousness, but it's also expanding the way we communicate with that consciousness. And as I said, the sun is very active at the moment. So the sun is in her own right a living being, and she, through her heart, it creates a portal for this information to reach us. Gaia, our own earth, in her core is her heart, and she receives that information through her core, and then moves that information she's receiving from the sun, from the galaxy, from the cosmos, out through her blood vessels and her nervous system. So her blood vessels are known as dragon lines, because the energy that's created in the liquid core of Mother Earth is the magnetic energy of Earth, and that magnetic energy is also known indigenously as dragon energy. So as it's pumped out from the core, from the heart of Mother Earth, this dragon energy moves through these dragon lines, through from the core, the mantle, up to the crust, and it comes out wherever it can, where there are breaks in the crust. Breaks in the crust, obviously breaks in the plates, the tectonic plates, but it also comes out where there is what we call magnetic discontinuity, where there's a different frequencies, different mediums. So a very powerful place could be between where the sea meets the sand, the seashore. These are what we call edge of chaos. So wherever two different mediums meet, a lot of this dragon energy, a lot of this information comes to the surface, which might be why you like sitting on a beach and being on that edge. Or you may find that you go to a lake and there's a mountain and a lake. But we like to be on those edges, and this is where we get inspired. But at the same time, with this amazing influx of information that's coming in to the Earth, dragon energy prefers to find places which are circular or round or slithering like a serpent. In other words, serpent energy, dragon serpent energy accumulates in places, locations that are round, lakes, wells, rivers, mountains, hills, trees, even groves of trees, and of course our body, which is round. So we are going to see the greatest weather disturbances, because this dragon energy is fire and water, in places that are islands, peninsulas, volcanic, mountainous. And we are seeing that heat waves, water flooding, droughts. The weather is very dramatic, and I have to say it has nothing to do with carbon dioxide. It is literally this new energy coming in, and again I call it dragon energy, but it's dragon information, is literally sweeping across the planet, and it's finding places it can break through. And so if there is the places that we know are on the ring of fire that is across the earth, where we see more volcanoes, more earthquakes, this is a very active place at this time. We also know places that are volcanic are very active. The volcano Kilauea on the big island of Hawaii is just not stopping. It is bringing this energy out. And you might say that, well, apart from it looking extraordinarily pretty and beautiful, because it is such an example of the magnetic power of Pele, but it is also, it's both a creative and a destructive energy at the same time. So the whole Hawaiian Islands were both created and destroyed by this constant volcanic activity. So what we are recognizing, and this is where I want to just complete, that the dragon energy needs an outlet. And it will find it, as I say, in different places that I've just mentioned. But if this energy has been, the dragon line has been distorted for any reason by humanity, especially, it will build up and then blow up. And I feel that this is no different than what goes on in our own body when we have energy blocks, as any acupuncture would tell you. When we have energy blocks, or where we are holding on to old energy, we will see dis-ease appear on our body or in our body. And so what we are doing for ourselves is clearing that stagnant energy, those old stories, those old blockages. But we also need to be doing that in the earth. And I have seen places in the earth that where, for instance, mining has taken place, and they put dynamite down into the earth, And I remember being in the south of France, at Rennes-le-Château, and seeing how the mining that happened there actually broke the dragon line. And the dragon line was both red and sore and angry, but it was also distorted. And so I use my breath, which is what the exercise I'm about to give you, to actually send golden light down and start to form new blood vessels. That's what this is. It's like forming new blood vessels that could go around the crater that had been formed by the dynamite. I also sent energy into that crater so we could perhaps bring life back to that place, even though the dragon lines would go around the outside. We need to understand that not only do we need to clear our own thoughts of old energies, old stories, emotions, but because Gaia is also, the earth is her body and her bloodstream has also been affected by activities, we need to help her to clear her grid, her system. Now, some of you might be doing that already using crystals, sending intention through a crystal to clear the grid. But be very clear that the best intention is pure reconnection, love. And the energy that we send is, again, on the breath, our breath is love. The more we seek connection, the more we say, let me be all that I am. Let me unite with the consciousness of the cosmos. Let me connect to the beautiful spirit world. That intention will allow us to send beautiful golden light into the world through our own body and out into the world and clear the blockages that have often been caused, unfortunately, by human activity. Now, some of that human activity, I want to say, is not of this time. We are clearing the past, millions of years of different activity that's happened to Mother Earth. We now need to clear that. And that's what's coming to the surface. Old Atlantean issues, old Lemurian issues, all of them are coming to the surface, not just to be, oh, there's Atlantis, but the devastation that happened both before and after the demise of Atlantis, it needs to be cleared. And often all we've done in this lifetime or these last few centuries is add to that confusion. I hope that makes sense. This is not just, oh, what did I do in this lifetime? So we are helping Gaia clear her energy, because when she clears her magnetic field, her dragon lines flow, her consciousness flows, and our consciousness flows. So we need to be doing this clearing, especially at this time. So I hope that's making sense to you. Let's first do our own clearing. And the best way of doing that is, please, to close your eyes. And obviously only do this if you're in a safe place to close your eyes. Take a short breath in. And as you breathe out all those thoughts that have been gathering around your mind, even as I've been talking to you. Breathing deeply into the earth through your feet. Repeat this a few more times, and I'm going to move forward a little bit so you can do this in your own time as well. So breathing in maybe on the count of 3, out on the count of 6. Take your awareness to your feet. Imagine you have magnets on the soles of your feet. There's a larger magnet in Mother Earth, and she's pulling you into her. Develop roots into Mother Earth. This is your mother. This is where you were born from. Your consciousness, you are a conscious being. You were born from her consciousness. Send the roots into Mother Earth, reconnecting to the source of who you are. Imagine when you go to the end of one of the longest roots. This is the root chakra. We got cut off from this chakra many thousand years ago. Imagine flowing through that is pure golden dragon energy, magnetic energy. Let that energy rise up through you on your in-breath, slight out-breath, letting it fall. Bring this energy up through your roots, through your legs. And as this golden energy comes up, it's both clearing and revitalizing. So it's regenerating you to who you are. All your cells are realigning to the truth of who you are. Let that energy fill your heart. Again, this is where your soul's pulse is. Let it pulse at the level of your truth. Let it enter into the mind, into the brain, into the higher self, out through the top of your head, so you're connected from above to below. And returning to your heart, let the energy of connection of love be in your heart. All you're wanting to do is to allow this beautiful consciousness to flow cleanly and clearly through the earth. Let me connect to everything that I am and everything that I can be. So now take a short breath in, but as you breathe out, send your energy down now through your roots and imagine that you're a tree. You're sending the energy out into the roots of the earth, into what we call the mycelial network. You're linking into the grid of Mother Earth. Then take another short breath in. And as you do, breathe out again. You're sending this golden energy that you've now pulled into your own body, and you're sending it out. And you can see through your loving embrace, through your breath, old energy blocks clearing from your local area. Again, taking a breath in, breathe out golden light into the earth. And you start to see the energies clear from around you, whether it's around lakes or wells, streams. You're connecting. It's again, you're not necessarily just clearing, you're reconnecting to the natural flow. And you find that when you do make a reconnection, the energy flows so much faster across the land. Again, breathe in, send out, see your energy just with love unblocking areas, and then the energy just flows across the land. Now just be still, and you can just, through the power of love, imagine yourself in any place that you might have visited or want to visit. Imagine again, you can just imagine standing in that place, one of your favorite places you visit. Do the same thing. Bring the energy into your heart. And when it's full, breathe it out into the surrounding mycelial network. Just see again your breath clearing old blockages, the water and the breath clearing old blockages, and suddenly everything becomes brighter, lighter, more informed with new consciousness. And you can do this anywhere you wish. You can imagine yourself anywhere you wish, but always fill yourself first with golden light, bring it into your heart, into your mind, into your body. And then when you are full, breathe it out into the world. When you're ready, you may bring your awareness back to the room where you are, opening your eyes. And I hold you in my heart, and I connect to all of you through my golden network. Let us all connect through the power of love, using the breath, bringing new light of consciousness into this world, into ourselves. And let us use that brighter, lighter, more loving light to see the changes that we wish to bring to the earth now, throughout humanity. Until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the HeartSpeak podcast with Dr. Christine Page. Please check out all HeartSpeak episodes in the podcast archive section on www.christinepage.com. HeartSpeak is also available on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Tumblr, and now playing on Amazon Music and iHeartRadio. You can also watch the archive podcast on Christine's channel, on YouTube, and now on Rumble. Connect with Christine on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook group, The Great Mother Calling. Do share with family, friends, colleagues. Join us next time for another edition of HeartSpeak.